Okay, my friends, we are in low light conditions, front facing camera, but we're up to 60 frames. 60 frames of buttery smooth me. And anything that drives by a little too fast, we'll be able to capture it quite well, I think. So, there's that. What else we got today? We had a good day at work, busy lunch, fell off pretty fast at dinner. So, mission for tonight is pretty straightforward. We're gonna we're gonna drive home. Hopefully we're not walking home. And yeah, we'll get some stuff going here. So.
Bluetooth connected.
I wonder if we can do something like this. That's fine. That'll be alright. Alright, let's get some music going on. A little bit here's the thing. If I'm doing this, I better learn to love me some Twitch lo-fi. We're gonna learn to live with lo-fi streamer safe music. I don't understand fair use well enough to know if I can put things in the background of my videos without them getting taken down. To be honest, there's kind of a beauty in how low stakes all of this is. Like when I say I don't have any viewers, it's not a bitterness thing. I'm not sure if I really want a lot of viewers. It'd be nice to be understood by a couple people. And I think that's the maybe the drive to do this. Maybe that's where that comes from. So, everyone wants to be understood, be known. Maybe not everyone, but I think it's a very common, I don't know if it's a universal human need, but I for sure would like to be understood. But I also want to understand myself. So we're open for a 2-for-1 special. We reflect ourselves off of, instead of the void that just sucks in everything, we reflect it off of some surface. But it can't be a mirror. It can't just be me. I've got to be talking to someone or something. And I've tried praying, but it doesn't quite. I don't know if I have the mental elasticity for that to work. I do it. Okay. To be fair, I definitely will call out to the universe at large. And the results are there. I have seen results from that, for whatever that means. But I think there's another part of it too. I think it's important to stay social. Leave behind a little visual novel here of a novel, kind of like a vlog, but I don't know if that really tracks. What are we doing? We are going to drive home. That sounds no power steering. I've gotten so used to it though that I think the only thing it'd be nice for like trying to get out of parking spots and shit, but I don't really like it as a general rule. It feels a lot less solid. I don't feel like I'm as in control when I have power steering, just from that brief interaction with the 2018 Colorado. Hey buddy. Nice if you could stay on your side of the fucking road. That'd be alright. I should have let Tofu warm up, because you can know he's pissed at me, or just a little bit like, hey, we got to get up to temp. When he idles high enough for me to not need to press the gas when I'm in second gear. He's just like, okay, I am an automatic. Maybe not quite there. But once I get into second and I let off the gas, we're at no gas, all brakes. I if this is normal or not. It's kind of nice. We're on cruise control. Who knew? 1987 Chevy S10s did have a cruise control feature. It was just hardware, not software. Alright. We can get over here. Oh gosh, can we though? I think we can. Yeah, it's a little tight, but we made it. Okay. Wow, the brake lights. Let me tell you a tale from the depths of hell. And oh no, we're still in it. Oh nope, we're back on. I'm not sure which mood to be in with this kind of lighting because it switches. I'm just so embarrassed. I don't know. Enough playing with that. We're gonna head home. We're gonna do a little stream, a little something. Here's the thing. I just gotta keep myself occupied right now because I feel like I'm at the precipice. The precipice? At the last couple chapters, or last couple paragraphs of a new chapter, right? A lot of things are about to change. A lot of what we set up for is, pretty soon going to take off. And let's explore this. A lot has changed for us. A big seismic shift in my life has been, getting out of jail with a person I was in the dorm with, who bounced around ideas of like, hey, let's be roommates. Made it happen. Lived with him until things went south. Had another friend of a friend. Went to live with him. Eventually got my own place with my own lease, which my place sucks in a lot of ways, but I'll have to look into that. So, but it isn't bad, it's really not bad. And so, here's the thing. We've gotten really far, and in that time I was doing DUI court, and I had a lot of freaking help. I was given 2 vehicles. Like, it wasn't a small $1 million loan from my dad or anything, but I had some support. I think that's the main thing that I got. There was a lot of help from my dad, especially when I was first starting back out in the world. So yeah, we're back in it. And here's what we're looking at. Looking at finishing up on probation. Getting done with that, putting that behind us. That gives us freedom to drive wherever we want to get. Which is funny because, like, back in the day I had that, but yeah, I had that freedom. However, I didn't utilize it. I wasn't picking up Lily, and she was a little bit too young for that type of stuff too. I wasn't seeing her enough because honestly, like, and this is an excuse, but part of that is like, I didn't feel necessarily comfortable at the in-laws' house. That's kind of the situation. We weren't married, but that it is like an in-laws' house kind of situation. And we're cool and everything, I think, but it's just a totally different family dynamic. And it's, it's a different house, different rules, different frequencies, different energies. And I'm not ever entirely comfortable over there. And there's nothing that they could do to make it more comfortable, because then they wouldn't to drive. We'll say BD and AD, before daughter and after daughter. Yeah, a couple years. We're at 9 years AD. Encroaching. We're starting to. Pretty soon, blink of an eye, it's going to be 10 years AD, the first decade of being a dad. And I fucked up like most of it. You know, pretty bad. And we're only doing mildly better. The main thing is like we're like somewhat stable ourselves. Like for me, I have some bad days. Today was pretty tough on shift. Just thinking about, it's easy to get lost in despair, the helplessness, or not the helplessness, the hopelessness of it all. Where like, what am I going to be doing? What am I doing here? Am I just going to wait tables for the rest of my life? Honestly, it's not the worst fate. It's far from the best fate. It's far from ideal. It's far from desirable. But, you know, it's really not the worst either. Especially if I think the main thing is, like, I've heard this before, like, Americans will build their whole personality off of their career, you know? I've heard this where it's like, you ask a European, like, who they are, like, who are you? They're like, oh, you know, I like listening to music, I like this kind of music, I like painting, I'll do a little painting, I'll go to ballets, or, you know, maybe I'll go take the boat out on the Mediterranean, into that, or maybe I like hunting. You know, I've got a family, I like hanging out with them, that kind of thing. They'll be like, oh, this is who I am. And I guess, you know, I work at the supermarket. And if you ask an American, they'll just be like, oh, I'm a plumber. That's it. Oh, you're a plumber. Right, that's the whole personality right there. When people ask me, you know, hey, you know, who's Jaco? I'll be like, I'm a server. I think about that, you know. I do that. I put way too much weight around, like, personality weight around the job I'm employed at. So performance-based. Who am I as a person? Now we got to look at that. I feel like that was a big fault, ignoring who I am as a person in favor of what I provide in my job. Far from the only person who does that, but for me it led to very serious consequences. And there were other factors that led up to it as well, but, you know. That was a big part of it, man. Like, you ignore your character faults and spiritual growth, emotional growth for, you know, a good... How long was I an adult before I started falling off a cliff drinking? Like, before daughter and after daughter? After daughter is just when the symptoms, like, or when the you know, underlying faults became, you know, it was a small earthquake. Not a small earthquake. When you have a kid, everything fucking shakes. And all the faults in the foundation, they get exposed, right? That's kind of what happened there. And instead of working on those, I decided I needed a bigger foundation. So I built a big old foundation with a bunch of cracks in it, or I started to, and then it would crumble, and then I started to, it would crumble, and my life is crumbling. I am only crumbles. Sponsored by Crumble Cookie. I'll have to work on the delivery on that one. It was a funny joke. The point is, being put in a position where you aren't able to produce, it makes it like you have to really explore, like, who are you as a person? Like, oh shit, there is more than word creative, more to focus on. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So, yeah, why do we do this? Why do we make the videos? Is it about me? I guess to a certain extent. I don't think I'm trying to immortalize or become YouTube famous here. If I do, as like a side effect, that'd be, I guess, kind of a pain in the ass a little bit. Just a little bit of a pain, and the reason why is it's another thing to manage. Not sure I'd want to be. I think here's the thing: if I could do it for a living, I think I'd be all right with it. You know, the big thing is like the time return. Hey, let's put it this way: if I could make enough money doing this where it would compete with being a server at Olive Garden or, you know, Ruth's Chris now, you know, or soon, if it could compete with that kind of money, if I could like provide with that kind of money and actually make a career out of it, I don't know, I guess. That is kind of tough to say. I feel like if, for me personally, I would venture a guess that I would have a pretty small half-life as an internet celebrity. I doubt I would be able to stay relevant for very long. Like there's a world where it could happen, but I don't know if this is the one, you know. But there was a point here. Why do I do this thing? I'm still trying to find out why. Here's the thing, I feel very much like myself when I'm talking about things. I feel like I at least have like a little bit of an aptitude for speaking or saying words. You know, for taking ideas and turning them into a vocalization. You know, just like translating an abstract into a pattern of frequencies. You know. Pushing air through a collection of muscles at certain times and intervals with a certain tightness and collapsation around the airflow that is produced to produce something that can be interpreted by an eardrum somewhere else as a sound, this sort of thing. I think I'm able to do it in such a way that is hopefully somewhat pleasing to listen to and maybe slightly interesting. I feel like I have the potential to do that. I don't know if I'm doing that right now, but I feel like myself doing this. Maybe that's what it is. I had an idea come to me that was either that or I heard it somewhere and I forgot where it was. I've done both. Sometimes I'll come up with like a little nifty connection. Through talks like this or through thinking or whatever, you come up with a nifty connection. I'll be like, oh, I'm saving that one. I've done that, and I've also, you know, found things elsewhere, you know, nifty connections, and I'll be like, oh, I gotta save that one. A quick little screenshot. We'll save that in our back pocket for whenever another situation comes up, and we can see if it's accurate. So the connection that I'm thinking of is I think the best icebreaker if we want to get to know someone would be, you know, you'd ask, what do you do? What sort of thing do you do that when you do that thing, you feel most like yourself? Right? Because I'm of the opinion that, you know, I would say that we do a lot of things. Human beings do a lot of shit. You know? I don't know if anyone's done like something to where they feel out of place and it's uncomfortable because you're like, I don't even feel like myself doing this. Imagine the opposite of that feeling. I think most people have hopefully you've encountered a situation in your life where it's like you do something and you forgot you were doing it almost. You hit a flow state really easily with it. You're adapted and attuned to it. And when you do it, and you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely a me thing. I feel totally comfortable doing this. I'm not 100% master at it immediately, of course, but I feel like myself doing it. And because of that, it gives me this sort of like ledge to grab onto that encourages me to climb the mountain. It's the feeling of self-actualization while doing the thing that propels any sort of advancement toward a higher skill level of the thing, right? So as an example, I don't know, I tried watercolor painting once. I tried doing a little bit of watercolor painting, and I did it, and it was cool. I actually enjoyed it a little bit. I enjoyed the little thrill of the thing that I created, but I didn't necessarily feel like myself doing it, I didn't feel like myself doing it. I don't know how to. I felt like, a little out of place. Now doing this though, I can immediately recognize that there's a skill issue here. I'm used to talking to myself, and I'm not necessarily organized in what I'm saying. Right? I don't expect this to be a box office hit movie that I'm producing here. However, I feel pretty good doing it. And maybe it's just hearing the sound of my own voice, but I don't know if I ever want to watch this, ever. But I like talking about ideas. I like talking about ideas with other people a lot. So that's why we're running the stream. I want to bring people, I want to do the Pall Mall. People of a certain, what do they call it? Whatever the Pall Mall slogan was. Hate the cigarettes, love the branding. And hopefully, there isn't some weird connection there that I'm unaware of. That's not what I'm supporting. It's just like literally whatever that says where people of a certain type gather. It's the Stammtisch idea, where the Stammtisch is a poor pronunciation of a German word, which means like the regulars table. So you'd have a bar, and you'd have a table, and it'd be one table in the corner where every Tuesday or every night, a bunch of people would get together and be at that. I think you take a lot of sitcoms at these. There was always a table that the characters would gather around. That would be a Stammtisch. But that could also be, it doesn't have to be literally a table, right? It could be a metaphor. It's a gathering place where people gather to exchange ideas. I don't know what it was called, the Acropolis. I don't think it's that. There's a name for a place. It was some sort of architectural structure where in ancient Greece, where philosophers, there's just fucking people, would get together and talk about things. It's the setting for Plato's Republic, which I really need to read through. I could read it out loud. Maybe that's what we'll do. Man, that would be a sick fucking segment, right? Theseus reads the Republic, and we just explore it together. It'd be a lot easier than reading it on my own. Fuck, maybe that's the way that I read that book and help other people too. Because I remember it being a really good book. The point is, that's the setting for that kind of book where, it's just a bunch of dudes drinking wine and they got no internet, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sit around, and here's what how the fuck do we build a state? Let's build a government, guys. Let's solve all the world's problems. Oh, I'm red again. Now it's a horror story. This lighting is insane. I am in a submarine. Someone check the nuclear reactor. Fuck, I'm in barotrauma? Okay, we're out. We're good? We're out of it? Oh, God. Okay, now everything's fine. Everything's just dandy. So the point is, You know, you have the Stammtisch, or you have this place where people get together and they exchange ideas. And here's the thing. I might be real pathetic. I feel a little pathetic in saying this. Like, I'm super isolated. I don't really talk to people. But as soon as that comes out of my mouth, that sounds like a cliche. That sounds like what everyone's saying, you know? Everyone is fucking alone and sad. You know, not everyone, but a lot of people, right? You gotta stop using absolutes. Here's the thing. Here's my promise to you guys. I will never use absolutes again. Alright. So yeah, I think building that meeting place for people who are isolated, which is like one of the most difficult things in the world. You have group therapy where you have just a facilitator and no one else really, you know. Well, the facilitator is just kind of creating the bounds of it. That's kind of how MRT ran. You had the whole idea of it was like a Stammtisch idea, where it's like, okay, guys, let's get together and get sober. Let's get together and fix whatever issues we're having. We're all having similar issues. Let's do it. It's like the spirit of the founding of AA kind of shit. And they all, you know, you're supposed to all get together, and you have a facilitator there, but they don't run the group. The group's supposed to run the group. You know? And it's a really hard dynamic, I think, to build. That's why there's like group rules and stuff. So that's how group therapy a lot of times works, I think. And this is a different version of that, where instead of dealing, you know, with sobriety or any specific kind of mental thing, it's kind of just dealing with the problem of being bored or being alone or being isolated, right? Which is, I think, the combination. And here's the thing. Can I tell you something? I'm not really isolated, not nearly as much as I used to be. You know? I don't think people necessarily cut me off. But it's just more that, like, at this point, maybe I'm just getting greedy. And it's like, yeah, you know, I have friends that I hang out with, and, you know, I got my family that I can talk to. I want to talk about the real shit. I want to talk about the tea. And what I think about things. And I want to hear what other people think about things. And I suppose, and this is the greed, at the level that we're talking in tonight. Like, you know, hey, how was your day? Great. Have you ever thought what would happen if you ran a business democratically and everyone hired their managers? Ooh, cool. Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Great. Okay, how about something else? What's an emotional complication that no one seems to talk about? Let's go through that. What are the mechanics there? How's everyone feeling? Got any weird, confusing things that you want to air out a little bit? Great. Let's do that. It's the podcast kind of atmosphere, I think, because, you know, people going on podcasts, they might hang out and chit chat for a little bit. But what was the Joe Rogan idea where the first hour is bullshit, and then, you know, you get into that second hour and everything starts coming out? Love to do that. And I think not every person has that much to say, and I think that's fine. But I think a lot of people who have shit to say or have a good dynamic with another person, they have that, and it's never explored. It's unexplored territory. And I am a bit of an adventurer when it comes to that. I love checking out, like, new, like, you didn't think you were capable of that. You didn't think you thought that far into it, you know? I simp for aha moments. Giant fucking simp for those. Not a simp for courage. I'm a simp for novelty. A simp for novelty. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, because I'll pull on a string and I'll embarrass myself. 100%. And you know what? the value there is that, again, I just value novelty over my own self-worth, which isn't necessarily good all the time. I still got to keep my self-image intact somewhat, because I don't want to isolate myself, right? I want to stay at least somewhat connected. So yeah, this will be part 2. We can have an AM and a PM version of this, or we just fly off the handle, just chilling in the garage. Could be a good time. And if it's not a good time for anyone else, it's a good time for me. Sometimes, isn't that just enough on its own? We're gonna see who's on. Oh, they're all playing Nuclear Nightmare. Oh, it's just Luke. Okay. Yeah, it's just Luke alone in a voice channel. They're picking up on it. I've created a trend. Sit alone instead of sitting alone in your room playing a game. If you want to talk to someone, you leave the door open. You sit in a voice channel in Discord alone, and that means someone could bomb you. Hop in, be like, hey, what's up? Want a game? Brilliant fucking idea. Oh, I'm quite ready to go in. I want to decompress for a second more. It feels so good to talk this shit out. Feels great. You know? We could... This isn't quite right, but another way to think about the 3-tier or the 3 branches of the garage, it's I talk, right here, you talk, the podcast, and then we talk, which is the stream. But it's more like I talk, we play. So, figure out which one we want to hone in on. But the main thing is I want to keep producing content. I don't think... Oh, it's not that cringy. Somewhat worth listening to. Yeah. I'm going to end this one. We're going to head in just a little bit. We're going to hop on stream. Welcome to the garage. Until next time.